Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Today we are going to discuss megaloblastic anemia. As we have discussed, on the basis of the MCV and the MCH, anemia is divided into four types. First, we have discussed the macrocytic hypochromic anemia. Then was the macrocytic normochromic anemia, which includes the megaloblastic anemia, in which MCV is increased, but the MCH is of normal value. So, what is the megaloblastic anemia? It's anemia which results due to deficiency of vitamin B12 and folic acid. What are the causes of megaloblastic anemia? Megaloblastic anemia can result due to inadequate intake. It's common in people who are vegetarian, who don't take any type of the meal. Then is the malabsorption, and the malabsorption results due to defective release of cobalamin from the food. And the causes are gastric achlorhydria, partial gastrectomy, and drugs that blocks the acid secretions like proton pump inhibitors. Malabsorption also is due to inadequate production of intrinsic factor, which results due to pernicious anemia, total gastrectomy, congenital absence, or functional abnormality of intrinsic factor. Another cause of malabsorption is the disorder of the terminal ileum. These disorders include tropical sprue, non-tropical sprue, regional enteritis, intestinal resection, neoplasm, and granulomatous disorders. Uh, Granulomatous disorders includes tuberculosis and the selective cobalamin deficiency. Another cause of malabsorption is the competition for the cobalamin. That is that is results due to fish tapeworm infestation, bacteria in case of blind loop syndrome. Malabsorption also results due to some drugs like colchicine, neomycin, and paraminosalicylate acids. Other causes of cobalamin deficiency include transcobalamin 2 deficiency and congenital enzymes defects. And number three is the nitric oxides. These are the rare causes of cobalamin deficiency. Then is the causes of folic acid deficiencies. Folic acid deficiency results due to inadequate intake, like the diet is unbalanced. And number two is the increased requirement, like pregnancy, infancy, malignancy, chronic hemolytic anemias, chronic exfoliative skin disorders like psoriasis, and hemodialysis. Number three is the malabsorption syndrome again, tropical sprue, non-tropical sprue, and the drugs like phenytoin and barbiturates. Number four is the impaired metabolism, dihydrofolate reductase inhibitors like methotrexate. Then is the alcohol and enzymes deficiencies like dihydrofolate reductase deficiency. So these are the causes of folic acid deficiency. Other causes of megaloblastic anemia includes drugs that inhibit the DNA metabolism, metabolic disorders like hereditary aortic aciduria, and then megaloblastic anemia of unknown etiologies. These are the very rare conditions in which there is a megaloblastic anemia. Now, what are the clinical features of cobalamin deficiency? Hematological manifestations, the symptoms includes the symptoms of anemia, which we have discussed in the general discussion of anemia, and these includes weakness, lightheadedness, vertigo, tinnitus, palpitation, angina, and even the symptoms of the heart failure. And rarely the patient has thrombocytopenia, features of thrombocytopenia like purpura. Petechiae and the purpura are the bleeding from gums and the mucous membranes. These are due to the thrombocytopenia, and thrombocytopenia is associated with megaloblastic anemia. Signs, hematological signs includes pallor, tachycardia, and flow systolic murmur or auscultation of the heart, and slight icteric skin and the eyes. Then are the GIT manifestations we have discussed already. These include the sore tongue, weight loss, anorexia, and the diarrhea. And the sign is smooth, beefy, red tongue. This is the specific sign of the megaloblastic anemia. Beefy, smooth, red tongue. This is the tongue of megaloblastic anemia, in which it's a, you can see it's a smooth one. It's look like a flesh, beefy type, and it's a smooth, and it's red. So it's a beefy red tongue. That is the specific sign of megaloblastic anemia. Then there are neurological signs. Are the manifestation symptoms include mild irritability and forgetfulness to severe dementia or frank psychosis. Then there are sphincter disturbances. Patient feel numbness, paresthesias, weakness, and ataxia. And the signs includes decreased position and vibration sense, diminished or increased reflexes, positive Romberg sign, and positive Babinski sign. These neurological manifestations often fail to remit fully on treatment. Why? Because demyelination results in axonal degeneration leading to neuronal death, and that is irreversible. Involved sites include peripheral nerves, spinal cord, and the cerebellum. These neurological manifestations are also called as subacute combined degeneration. These are called subacute combined degeneration. So these are the neurological manifestations of the megaloblastic anemia or cobalamin deficiency. Specific features of folic acid deficiency. The patient with folic acid deficiency are more often malnourished than those with the cobalamin deficiency. The GI manifestations are similar to but may be more widespread and more severe than those of the pernicious anemia. Diarrhea is often present, and the chillosis and glossitis are also encountered. Neurological manifestations do not occur in case of folic acid deficiency. These neurological manifestations, as I have told you, these are due to the cobalamin deficiency, and it is called subacute combined degeneration. And the hematological manifestations are the same as those of the cobalamin deficiency. So these are the 3, 4, 5 points which differentiate the cobalamin deficiency from the folic acid deficiency. How will you diagnose? We first of all advise the investigations like blood complete examination and peripheral smear examination. And the blood complete examination will show a increased MC. There will be a low hemoglobin and increased MCV. It will be a more than 100 picoliter, and this shows that the patient is having vitamin B12 or folic acid deficiency. However, there are few other conditions in the differential diagnosis which can cause also a increased MCV, and these include hemolysis, liver disease, alcoholism, hypothyroidism, and aplastic anemia. Reticulocyte count, it will be a low. Leukocyte and platelet counts may be decreased in severe case of anemia. So patient can have pancytopenia, means decreased hemoglobin level, decreased leukocyte, WBC count, and decreased platelet counts. So it's called pancytopenia. After having this blood complete examination, we advise the patient to have a peripheral smear. Peripheral smear shows anisocytosis and pachylocytosis. As I have already told you, anisocytosis is a variable sizes of the RBCs, and pachylocytosis shows different shapes of the RBCs. There will be a macrovalocytes. There can be a basophilic stippling and hypersegmentation of the nucleus of the neutrophils. So these two signs are very important. Macroovalocytes, yani RBCs, are of a large size, and there is a hypersegmentation of the nucleus of the neutrophils, and it will be shown in this picture. You can see these are these there are megalovalocytes, and there is a hypersegmented. Normally there are 2 to 3 segments of the neutrophil nucleus, but you can see over here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it is called hypersegmentation of the nucleus of the neutrophils, and it's a specific sign of the megaloblastic anemia on the peripheral smear examination. Along with, you can see the anisocytosis. Anisocytosis is means that the RBCs are of a variable size. You can see over here this size of this RBC and size of this RBC and size of this RBC. So these are of a different sizes. So it is called an anisocytosis. Now, what is a pachyalocytosis? You can see the shapes of the RBCs. These are of different shape. This RBC is having a different shape. This one is having different shape. This one is also having a different shape. Here you can see a teardrop cell. It has a different shape. So this is called pachyalocytosis. So this peripheral smear is showing macrovalocyte, pachyalocytosis, and anisocytosis, and hypersegmented nucleus of the neutrophil. That are the signs of megaloblastic anemia on the peripheral smear. So again, this is a hypersegmentation of the nucleus of the neutrophil. Other investigation which are needed include the bone marrow examination. On bone marrow examination, there will be increased cellularity. There will be a megaloblastic changes in the thyroid series. There will be a giant metamyelocytes, dysplastic megakaryocytes. Megakaryocytes mean these are the precursor cells of the platelets. There will be an increased iron in the stores and pathologically non-ring sideroblast. After having this investigation, then we will confirm the patient is having whether cobalamin deficiency or folic acid deficiency. So we will advise the patient to have a cobalamin level and folic acid level. So serum cobalamin normal range is 200 to 9 picogram per ml, and that will be a decrease then. It will be less than 200 picogram per ml. Similarly, the folic acid level, the normal range is 6 to 20 nanogram per deciliter, and if it is less than 4 nanogram per ml, to generally we consider it's this folic acid deficiency. Next is the Schilling test. After confirming that there is a cobalamin deficiency or folic acid deficiency, then we will go for the underlying cause, investigation for the underlying cause, and these are two. One is the Schilling test, and then we will go for the methyl malonic acid and homocysteine level. These both are elevated in cobalamin deficiency, while homocysteine is only elevated in case of folic acid deficiency. Now, what is a Schilling test? In this case, this test is performed to see what is the cause of cobalamin deficiency. Actually, when we take the vitamin B12, it comes into the stomach, or we take a food which contains the folic acid, so it comes into the stomach. In the stomach, the pepsin and the acid dissociate the vitamin B12 from the food, and at the same time, R factor and intrinsic factor are released. In the stomach, this vitamin B12 combined with the R factor, and it is carried into the duodenum. Here, the vitamin B12 get released from the R binder and combined with the intrinsic factor, and this complex is then carried to the terminal ileum, where it is dissociated and intrinsic factor is dissociated from the cobalamin or vitamin B12, and this vitamin B12 is absorbed from the terminal ileum, and it then enters into the blood, and the blood carries the vitamin B12 to the bone marrow, and it is carried by the transferrin 2. That is the carrier protein of the vitamin B12. So this is the normal metabolism. I am going to repeat it again. Okay, when we take food containing vitamin B12, it enters the food enters into the stomach, and in the stomach, the pepsin and the HCl, that dissolve the food, and the vitamin B12 or the cobalamin is released in the stomach. At the same time, R-band proteins and intrinsic factor is released from the epithelium of the stomach. So vitamin B12 or the cobalamin combined with the R-band proteins, and it is carried to the duodenum. At the same time, intrinsic factor is also carried to the duodenum. In the duodenum, the R-band proteins are dissociated from the vitamin B12, and B12 is released, and then this combined with the intrinsic factor, and this intrinsic factor is and vitamin B12 complex is carried throughout the small intestine, and when it reaches up to the terminal ileum, this intrinsic factor and the vitamin B12 complex is dissociated, and vitamin B12 is released. This vitamin B12 is absorbed through the epithelium of the terminal ileum into the blood, and this is carried through a protein that is called the transferrin 2 to the bone marrow. This is the normal metabolism of the vitamin B12. Now, what is a Schilling test? Schilling test is based on this normal metabolism. What we do, we actually give before going to test, we give the patient number one cobalt labeled vitamin B12 orally, and at the same time we give injectable to saturate the this we give injectable vitamin B12 to saturate the blood for the vitamin B12. So if the patient is having normal intestine, no problem over here, so what will happen? This labeled vitamin B12, it will be carried and will come in over the terminal ileum, and then it is absorbed and it is excreted into the urine. Then we will find that there is a normal, there is a no pathology in the gut. Okay, when we take a cobalt labeled vitamin B12 and at the same time we saturate the blood by giving the injectable vitamin B12, this will come to the stomach, the small intestine, reach to the small terminal ileum where it is absorbed in the blood, and in the blood it will be, the blood is actually saturated by the vitamin B12. Why? Because we have given injectable. So if it is all the pathway is normal, so it will be absorbed from the epithelium of the terminal ileum, enter into the blood, and the blood will carry it to the kidney, and it is excreted into to the urine. And we check in the urine, there will be a radio labeled vitamin B12. It shows that there is no pathology in the body, and the normally vitamin B12 is excreted in the kidney. When there is a pathology, what will happen? If suppose the patient is having intrinsic factor deficiency, so what will happen? This cobalt, labeled cobalt, will not combine with the intrinsic factor. It will be excreted in the stool, and we will found that there is a no cobalt into the cobalt labeled vitamin B12 into the urine. So if the radio labeled cobalt is not coming into the urine after taking oral, it will show either there is a problem in the intrinsic factor, or there is a problem, there are bacteria which are going to utilize it, or there is a problem in the terminal ileum, or there is the pancreatic enzymes are deficient. So pathologies can be in the stomach, malabsorption can be due to the pancreatic enzyme deficiency, blind loop syndrome, or problem in the terminal ileum. So terminal ileum problems, what are the problems of terminal ileum? That can be tropical to non-tropical to tuberculosis involved this area, and in some condition when there is a resection of the this terminal ileum, so there is a it is not absorbed. So I am going to repeat it. When you give a radiocobalt vitamin B12 and at the same time you inject the vitamin B12 and you check the urine, if the urine is having this radio-labeled cobalt, that means there is no pathology in all these systems. But if you find that there is no urine excretion of the radio-labeled cobalt, it means there is some pathology. When you came to know that there is some pathology, no, we are not going to understand pathologies in the stomach. It's a pancreatic problem, it's a blind loop, or it's a ileal problem. So first of all, we will give cobalt vitamin B12 with intrinsic factor, and we will check the urinary cobalt vitamin B12 level. If now the urinary cobalt is positive, so it means the deficiency is due to intrinsic factor. Why? Because we have given only intrinsic factor, which has combined with it, and it has carried the this cobalt labeled vitamin B12 to the terminal ileum, and it has been absorbed and excreted in the urine. If again, another possibility is this: when you give with the intrinsic factor with this cobalt, so it is not positive in the urine. It means the problem is not in the intrinsic factor. So intrinsic factor is not deficient. So then in the next step, we then repeat the test. We give cobalt vitamin B12 and we give the pancreatic enzymes along with it. Now, at this time, if the patient has positive cobalt in the urine, it means there is a pancreatic enzymes deficiency. And if there is no cobalt positive vitamin B12 in the urine, then it means the problem is something else. Then we will go further. We will think of a blind loop syndrome or terminal ileum resection. So in this way, you can understand that the patient is having what is the underlying cause of the vitamin B12 deficiency. What are the causes of intrinsic factor deficiency? The most common cause is the pernicious anemia. Actually, intrinsic factor is released by the epithelial parietal cells of the stomach, and there are autoantibodies produced which destroy these parietal cells. And these when these parietal cells get destroyed, so there is no secretion of the intrinsic factor, and the patient is deficient of intrinsic factor. That's why the food which has released the vitamin B12 in the stomach, it is not combined with the intrinsic factor over here in the duodenum, so it is not absorbed from the terminal ileum. It is excreted in the feces, and the patient becomes deficient of cobalamin and presents with signs and symptoms of megaloblastic anemia. So this is way to actually do the Schilling test to confirm whether there is an intrinsic factor deficiency or any other condition. So this is the way which I have demonstrated you to check the Schilling test. Now the treatment. Treatment of the underlying disorder is very, very important. We will diagnose the underlying cause of vitamin B12 or folic acid deficiency, then we address accordingly. And after addressing the underlying cause, we will replace the deficiency of B12 or folic acid. So cobalamin is given in a dose of 1000 microgram IV weekly for 8 weeks, and then followed by a 100 microgram IM monthly for the rest of the patient's life. And in the folic acid dose is 1 milligram per day, only up to 5 milligram. It comes in the market. Folic acid is available in the dose of 5 milligram per day. So it's available in the dose of 5 milligrams. So it is given 1 tablet daily or 2 tablets daily. Parenteral folic acid is really needed. If the patient is having severe anemia, as we have discussed in iron deficiency anemia, if there is a emergency, and the patient is severely anemic, then we have an option of giving blood transfusion. Therapy response is checked by checking the reticulocyte count. As we have discussed in the investigation, the reticulocyte count is decreased at the time of presentation. So when we treat the patient, we check the reticulocyte count. If the count is after 4 days of treatment, if the count is increasing, it means the therapy is okay, and it takes 1 to 2 months to fully replace the deficiency of cobalamin or vitamin B12. So this is all about the megaloblastic anemia, that is due to folic acid and vitamin B12 deficiency. Thank you very much.